When it comes to modern-day cruise ships, they are truly floating cities, carrying over 10,000 people in some cases. There is so much technology built into these ships to match the staggering size, it truly is unbelievable. You may ask, what are some of the largest cruise ships of all time? Well, today, we're going to go through the top 10 largest cruise ship classes of all time and which ships are in those classes. Starting out at number 10, this class was introduced way back in 2006 and was the largest cruise ship class at the time of construction. This is the Freedom class, operated by Royal Caribbean. Freedom of the Seas, Liberty of the Seas, and Independence of the Seas make up the Freedom class of ships and measure around 154,000 gross tons each, 1,111 feet long, and 126 feet wide at the water. These ships carry around 4,400 passengers traveling through the ocean at around 21 knots. Next up, at the 9th largest cruise ship class of all time, is the Breakaway-Plus class from Norwegian Cruise Line. This class was introduced in 2015 at 167,000 gross tons. These 1,094-foot-long monsters are 136 feet wide at the water and cruise through the water at 21 knots. Carrying 4,000 passengers, the Norwegian Escape, Norwegian Joy, Norwegian Bliss, and Norwegian Encore make up the Breakaway-Plus class. Following the Breakaway-Plus class is the 8th largest cruise ship class, also operated by Royal Caribbean, and was the youngest class at sea for Royal Caribbean until the Icon class was introduced in 2024. This is the Quantum class. Introduced in 2015, Quantum of the Seas was the first of the Quantum class ships to enter service, followed by Anthem of the Seas, Ovation of the Seas, Spectrum of the Seas, and Odyssey of the Seas. These ships are 1,141 feet long, 161 feet wide, and measure at 169,000 gross tons. These ships cruise around 22 knots while carrying 4,180 passengers plus crew. The Quantum class ships are the highest tech ships in the Royal Caribbean fleet. Some of the highlighted features of the Quantum class ships are indoor skydiving simulator, VR game room on some of the ships, bumper cars, a robotic bartender, as well as art you can control throughout the ship. At 7th largest cruise ship class of all time, we have the first class on this list that MSC Cruises will hold, and it belongs to the Seaside Evo class. Introduced in 2021, the Seaside Evo class is a stretched and upgraded version of the Seaside class, carrying 4,540 passengers spread across 1,112 feet in length, 134 feet in width, and inside of the 170,000 gross tons of steel. MSC Seashore and MSC Seascape travel through the ocean at 22 knots and are the only two ships in the Seaside Evo class currently. In 2017, MSC Cruises put into service their largest cruise ship class they have purpose-built, which lands at 6th on our list. The MSC Meraviglia and MSC Bellissima make up the Meraviglia class for MSC. These two ships measure around 171,000 gross tons, 1,036 feet in length, 141 feet wide, and can push through the ocean doing 22 knots. With enough cabins to hold 4,430 passengers at double occupancy, there is still plenty of room inside of these megaships. At 5th largest cruise ship class of all time, we have the Meraviglia-Plus class, operated by MSC Cruises. If you have heard the saying, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, that is exactly what MSC did with this class. MSC Grandiosa, MSC Virtuosa, and MSC Urbia are the big siblings of the previous mentioned ships, as they have the same overall styling and shape but are about 45 feet longer. With that extension, these ships are now 1,087 feet long, 141 feet wide, and measure at 181,000 gross tons. That added weight and length did not hurt the cruise speed either, which still is at 22 knots. This increase also pushed the passenger capacity to 4,840 passengers. Coming in at 4th largest cruise ship class of all time is the first and only class on this list owned by Carnival. The Excellence, or Excel class depending on the subsidiary, was first introduced in 2018 with the Aida Nova. She was followed by Costa Smeralda, Iona, Mardi Gras, Aida Cosma, Costa Toscana, Carnival Celebration, Arvia, and most recently, Carnival Jubilee. The Excellence class was an attempt by Carnival to compete more with the ships Royal Caribbean has been building since the mid-2000s. These ships measure around 183,000 gross tons, are 1,130 feet long, 138 feet wide, and carry 5,280 passengers at 22 knots through the water. The Excellence class is the largest class by number of ships at sea out of the major cruise lines. We are down to the 3 largest cruise ship classes of all time. And starting off, we have the newest class of ship in the MSC fleet. The World Class by MSC takes cruising and luxury to a new level, with the attention to detail put into World Europa, introduced at the FIFA World Cup in 2022 as a floating hotel. World Europa is the single ship in this class until World America is put into service in 2025. The world-class ships break the 200,000 gross ton mark at 216,000 gross tons, built into a hull 1,093 feet long and 154 feet wide. 5,540 passengers at double occupancy sail on this ship while cruising through the water comfortably at 23 knots. Our second largest cruise ship class of all time, operated by Royal Caribbean, was introduced back in 2009 and has held that title of largest cruise ship class until January 2024 when Icon of the Seas was put into service. The Oasis class ships started with Oasis of the Seas and was followed by Allure of the Seas, Harmony of the Seas, Symphony of the Seas, Wonder of the Seas, and in the summer of 2024, Utopia of the Seas will join this fleet. The first 4 Oasis-class ships have a gross tonnage of around 226,000 gross tons, while Wonder and Utopia have around 236,000 gross tons. All ships are around 1,181 feet long, 154 feet wide, and carry 5,400 passengers at double occupancy while cruising at 23 knots. As each new ship was introduced, the title of World's Largest Cruise Ship was taken from their predecessor. Wonder of the Seas has held the title of World's Largest Cruise Ship since March of 2022 until January 2024 when our last class was introduced. Finally, at number 1, the largest cruise ship class of all time has come with a tremendous amount of publicity and takes the title of World's Largest Cruise Ship from her fellow Royal Caribbean ship, Wonder of the Seas. The Icon class from Royal Caribbean, which was introduced in 2024, takes cruising to the next level with several new and thrilling amenities found around the ship. Icon of the Seas is nearly 1,200 feet long, 159 feet wide, while measuring just shy of 249,000 gross tons. 5,610 passengers are spread across the ship and cruising through the Caribbean at 22 knots. Icon of the Seas is the lone ship in her class until Star of the Seas is put into service in 2025, then followed by another currently unnamed Icon class ship in 2026. Drop a comment below if you have been on any of these classes or have a cruise booked on one of these ships. Are you interested in taking your first cruise but don't know which cruise line is right for you? Be sure to watch this video next, where we go over different scenarios with different cruise lines to find out which one is best for you. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, travelers, have a great one.